I didn't go through the roof. I kept my shirt on, which is preferable if your kid's friend is over. I find that you want to keep your shirt on usually.
Hey, how was it?
My friend's daddy took his shirt off and screamed at me, and he said, "I fucking want to be like you when I grow up."
Okay, so let's record the intro now.
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads, we love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey, hey, Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Matt and Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take.
All right, Matt, got another When Equals Now episode coming at you live via satellite. I'm going to kick this one off. You don't know what I'm going to say. And I got this one. I'm just so excited about this. It's something that I think I've been slowly doing over time. And I just put it into words for my partner. And now my wife and I are doing it. And I fucking love it as like a thing you should do with your kids.
Well, give it to me. I love it.
When your kids are being shitty, there's a lot of times we yell at them and we get mad at them. And we say stuff like, "What are you doing?" And we get too much on our kids, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what I've started to do is if they do something out of the ordinary, I fucking lose it on them in a positive way. And I intentionally try to match the energy of getting mad, but I'm happy. And I don't just go like, "Good job, bud. That's really nice to share that with your sibling." If one of my children asks for a napkin, and one of the kids jumps up, "I'll get it." And they do it. I fucking drop everything like they just said, "Fuck you, mom." And I drop everything. I get up and I say, what are you doing? Are you doing that right? Are you kidding me? That is incredible, man. That is incredible. I am so impressed. No, I'm serious. This is incredible. Why would you get up from you doing Legos to get a napkin for your sibling? Are you kidding me? I love that, man. I love that. And sometimes I'll even like get myself worked up where I'm almost like crying. I'm so fucking...
Are you crying right now?
Yeah.
Are you crying?
And like...
Dude, that's so good.
Their faces, they like kind of can't believe what's happening. Like I'm losing it as if they just won a gold medal or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
dude, I love that, dude. That's so great. Because here's the thing. You are going to get pissed at your kids. You're going to have the clashes where they need like limit setting. You're going to have the ruptures, whatever you want to call it. Like it's going to happen. So banking that stuff on the other side, but not just banking that stuff on the other side, banking that stuff on the other side with equal, where it gets an equal amount of energy from you. That is so fucking cool, man. Because, like, also you hear a lot people say, like, whatever gets your kids the most intense attention from you is the thing they'll do, even if that attention is negative. But if you're bringing that kind of energy to really positive attention, then, of course, it's going to reinforce those behaviors so powerfully.
Yeah.
And they just have this bank of, like, when dad goes all the way up the ladder, sometimes it's good.
What made me think about this is what you just said, is that, how come sometimes I'm like busy? Let's say I don't read the newspaper, but this is how I imagine it happening. I'm reading the newspaper. Mm-hmm. My kids are being annoying as fuck. I'm like, guys, pipe down over there. Guys, somebody's going to get hurt. Calm it down. Go back to reading my newspaper. Guys, relax. Then someone gets hurt. Someone's crying. All right, what happened? Who did it? God damn it, guys. How many times do I have to tell you? Every time. What the hell? And then I'm like, wait a minute. So they did just get my attention for a bad thing.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. Even if I'm like, can someone get me a glass of water? But I'm in the middle of something. Can you get it in a minute? So I'm too busy to get the water. Mm-hmm. If another sibling gets it for the other, I'll get it for you. Gets up, gets it. I'll put down the thing I'm working on to lose it on them.
Yeah.
You should see their fucking faces. It's like the same. It's like the opposite face of when dad loses it and they're scared out of their mind.
Yeah.
They're elated out of their mind. Like,
yeah.
It's like, when else could you can't do that on the soccer field. You look like a fucking psycho. They score a soccer goal. It's like, what are you going to be, a psycho?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. You came in from soccer and put your cleats in your cubbyhole and hung up your jersey and put your stuff in the laundry basket? Are you kidding me? Because they never do that. But when they have done it a couple times. Lose it.
Lose it. Yeah. The other thing you're doing is correcting for this like unfortunate truth about existence, which is things that go wrong get more attention than things that go right. Mm-hmm. So often things that go right are totally invisible. Like you just don't even notice them because they're going how they should, or they're going in a way that makes life easier. But whenever the shit hits the fan, of course you notice that, right? I mean, it's the truth with like, you remember traumatic events much more than you often like remember good events. It's just like you register the stuff that is a problem. Mm-hmm. And there's some evolutionary about it. But yeah, it kind of corrects for that thing that like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Like whatever you want to call it, it's just putting the effort into calling attention to things when they go right. You know what else it reminded me of? This is kind of a weird analogy, but there was this police department in this like smaller town, and they started this program where they just set aside a certain amount of money. And I think what they did is they just like gave officers $100 bills, mm-hmm. and like they would assign a couple officers and they would just roll up on people and give them $100. And the idea was like every time people interact with the police in this community, it's because fucking bad shit is happening. Mm-hmm. What if a lot of the interactions people had with police officers were just cops rolling up and giving them $100? Mm-hmm. It's like, you got to make sure that all of the big intense interactions you're having with your kids aren't the negative ones. Sometimes you got to show up with $100 bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, here's the thing, like the thing that I'm almost, it's a weird, I'm emulating being angry.
That's interesting.
And I'm actually channeling, like shaming them. Who would do something like that? That is crazy. That is so selfless. That is so nice. Why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
Because this doesn't happen every day. This is probably once every 2 weeks if somebody does something extra nice. Why wouldn't?
Yeah.
Just like if they do something extra bad, if they kick their sibling in the genitals, we might have an outsized reaction.
Sure. Yeah.
If they come home from a birthday party with only one lollipop and their younger sibling really wants it and asks nicely and they decide to give that, I'll just run around the house like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like screaming. I'll take off my shirt.
You'll go shirtless?
Why? Mommy, did you hear what so-and-so did? Did you hear? He just came over to our birthday party and gave his one lollipop. Who does that?
That's so good.
And I might even swear. What the fuck is this kid doing? It's incredible.
I do love a good, well-placed swear. A good, well-placed swear in a positive environment is real great. Yeah, I mean, I think like it's funny because like that is so you. Yeah. Like one of the things that makes you infectious is that like your enthusiasm knows no bounds. Like it's one of the things I love about being around you. It's infectious. And some people that might not come naturally to them or whatever. I don't think I've ever tended to do it that way. But I think like when I feel like I've done a good job, it has been like incredibly focused attention on them that has the intensity of total focus.
Yeah.
Even if it's lower, it's just like, hey, I just want to, I took my daughter and her friend and my youngest daughter, so oldest, her friend, youngest daughter, to this children's museum on a weekend. It was going to be chaos. I needed like head on a swivel. I can't lose any kids. And I told the two older kids going in, I was like, I'm really going to need your help or this is going to suck. Mm-hmm. And we went and it was fun and it didn't suck. And we got back and I was like, phew, okay, that went great. And I almost forgot until dinner that night to like take the two older girls aside, my daughter and her friend, and be like, hey, I just want to tell you guys, that was great because I didn't go through the roof. I kept my shirt on, which is preferable if your kid's friend is over. I find that you want to keep your shirt on usually.
Hey, how was it?
My friend's daddy took his shirt off and screamed at me, and he said, "I fucking want to be like you when I grow up."
He said, "What kind of kid?" but it was the same intention. It was like all eyes on you.
I completely agree. It doesn't need to be hooting and hollering. And sometimes it's not hooting and hollering. It's similar to the way I kind of look at it is like, there's rupture and repair. You freak out on your kids. We want to apologize for the outsized reaction and teach apologizing and that type of thing. But this is the way I'm kind of also thinking about this is it's like, let's say you draw something in pencil. Well, it's going to take almost an equal amount of time or arm motion to erase that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just saying like,
oh, that's cool. This is a cool visual.
Like just match it on the other side, like mirror it almost. Hey guys, stop before you get out of the car. I just got to say, you made this experience at Dave & Buster's so much fun. Before we get out of this car, I want you guys to think about, like what I would normally say, I want you guys to think about how you fucked me today. Instead, I'm like, no, but I want you guys to think.
You fucked me at Dave & Buster's. You fucked me last week at the park. You fucked me on hike, and now you fucked me at Said like Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon. They fuck you at the drive-thru. Anyways, go on.
No, but like that's a similar tone. Like I want you to think about what you did today because it was incredible.
Yeah. You
guys made today great. Just same way we need to clear the air after they're being shitty, and you can't just like let certain shit go unchecked. Mm-hmm. You need to kind of bring that up the next day. Like, hey guys, what happened yesterday was not okay. We got to talk about that so that next time we can learn. Mm-hmm. Because to your point, if we think about all the emotions that are just above like normal banter, things that maybe just raise their heart rate by 5 beats a minute, anything kind of scary. Oh, did you fail your homework or you didn't do this or I forgot that. How many interactions with the parents, like it's the scary ones are the ones that elevate the heart rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like think about this. When you think back to your parents, specific moments you remember with your parents, the ones you remember are anger. Even if they only happened 3 times in your life, you can remember that time that one of your parents screamed at you and where you were and what it smelled like. And do you remember your achievements and you remember the general feeling of love and the feeling that your parents were proud of you. I know that my parents are proud of me. I know they had unconditional love for me, but I don't ever remember them like making my heart rate go up by being like, hey, listen up. No, you need to listen.
Yeah.
You, blah, blah, blah. It's that same sort of heightened intensity. If we can raise their heart rate a little bit, make them feel.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Milkless. We are self-funded, self-sponsored. Matt and Max, we're spending way too much time a week on this for your listening pleasure. So, if you want to help out, please visit our Patreon. Just kidding. We don't fucking do Patreon. We're not asking for any money. All we want is for you to text this to a friend. So, if you could pause the episode right now, think of someone who might benefit from Milkless. Maybe it's a dad you know, a mom someone
Think of the shittiest father you know.
No, that shittiest father doesn't care enough to listen. But someone who maybe likes podcasts and, the thought of a parenting podcast is like, oh my God, it's like so dry. You can tell them how funny I am and how Matt
also says things sometimes.
Yeah. You need a dictionary to understand half of the things he's saying because he likes to show his big vocabulary.
Oh my God. So, read a book, Max.
Anyway, what was I saying? So just pause the episode right now. Text a friend. It means so much to us, and you will ensure that we will continue making these episodes free of charge forever.
The other very big idea that this makes me think about, that I think about a ton, and I'm saying this out loud because it's like I feel like I forget this. So I forget this constantly. So often when there's a behavior I don't like, or when there's something going on that I don't like, my first instinct is like, how do I stop that behavior? Like the issue that we're dealing with here is this behavior. And almost always the solution to that behavior is not addressing the negative. It is creating a positive. When my daughters are at each other's throats, the answer is to not, it's not to say like, will y'all quit arguing with each other? The answer is to create an experience that all of us can really enjoy together where they're on the same team. When my daughter doesn't want to listen to anything I'm telling her, the answer is not to come down harder on you will listen to me. It's to reestablish the connection that makes her want to listen to me more. I mean, best defense is a good offense. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but like so often it's just getting out in front of that stuff. It's taking the moments to have the really beautiful thing happen. And suddenly just, oh, hey, the shitty stuff isn't happening as much.
Yeah.
How interesting. And I feel like I forget that constantly. And then I'm like, oh yeah.
Same.
I wish I'd be less stupid about it.
I'm glad you said it because we know it on the macro scale that a super strict parent most of the time does not have a good relationship with the child when they are both, when the child's an adult, the authoritarian thing.
Yeah.
With that said, I feel the same way. When I see a behavior I don't like, it's like, well, in my subconscious, I don't actually use this language in my internal monologue, but like, we need to beat this out of this kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. 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 We got to break them.
We need to.
Got to break them.
Yeah, we got to break them. We got to break them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think that is maybe like, you can't like throw food.
Yeah.
When you're.
Yeah.
You can't just like, if you're mad, you can't just throw the food on the ground. You got to like.
Yeah.
You got to like have some consequences there. But with that said, you're right. If you're already there, you're already like on your heels, man. Mm-hmm. You're already like losing the battle. Like if they're throwing the food, to your point, the mornings where they, go for us, it doesn't work this way. If they watch TV in the morning and then for like on a Saturday morning for like 2 hours, no one's gone pee yet. They're just all have like fucking bladders that are about to explode. That morning is fucked.
That morning's fucked. Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to like, let's hit it with a good offense. Let's all make our own breakfast together. Let's be this. But again, a lot of that comes with having maximum time. And we just want to make sure that we're not being prescriptive to say like, oh, just fucking solve it. Blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah, just stop. Just stop doing this. Can you just stop it?
Just be better. Just be better.
Just be better. Yeah.
Just play with your kids more. Like,
well, and like the thing you hear all the time is like kids do great when they can. So really what it is like setting up the circumstances where they can and giving them like the scaffolding, the connection, the whatever you want to call it, where they can kind of be at their best. But I do think it's hard because a lot of times that involves like a little bit of an abstraction, like to really try to understand why the thing is going on. Like I was, my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter were like really possessive of their things. Particularly my oldest is like, I don't want her to touch this. I don't want her to touch this. She's going to break this. She's going to break this. And some of it I get because like you want to have your own shit and the 2-year-old will break some things, but it was just, I was like, what is this thing? She's like the most like possessive person ever. And I was like, I was really going after like, stop it, or we're going to have no possessions in this house. I was just so frustrated.
Yeah.
And then I talked to a friend of mine who was an oldest sibling. I wasn't. I'm the younger, so I hadn't had this experience. And she's like, yeah, I remember when my little sister was born, I got really possessive of my shit because it's like she'd stolen my parents, so I didn't want her to steal my other stuff. And it was like, okay, actually what's going on here has nothing to do with her belongings at all. This is about her feeling like she's gotten bumped to the side and is not as connected to me and my wife as she was before. And so really the answer here is not to like go hard at her for a lesson about like sharing. It's to make sure that she feels loved. And then this other, so it's like a little more abstract.
Yeah, but also like that person sounds like a really great person and everything, but it's like this person remembers when their younger sibling was born. Were they 10?
They're a fair amount older than the younger sibling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I also remember being in the womb. You
don't mind?
Like, no, because also like I've seen it through all 3 of our kids. Kids just want the thing that the other person, like if they have something really fucking cool, let's say you have one awesome marble.
Yeah.
And one kid is rolling it back and forth. Them just wanting the marble doesn't necessarily mean that the kid is like, oh, they're dealing with this. That marble's just fucking sick. I want
Fair
that
enough.
marble.
Fair enough. And they did, there was I gotta look this up because it's kind of an amazing experiment. They put like 8 kids in a room with 8 identical red balls.
Yeah.
And like 5 minutes later, they were all fighting over one of the red balls. Yeah. So people are a little fucked, but also I don't think there's nothing to that. And I do think that like siblings see each other as threats to the amount of attention they get from their parents. They are.
Yeah,
They are
but
threats
what if
to the amount of
is,
attention.
what if it also is just as simple as it's the same reason we're kind of ruder and more direct and meaner with our siblings per se, because there's a lower barrier and there's less social shit around it. Whereas like all school, to your point, they're under restraint. They kind of hold their shit together. They don't grab out of their friends' hands. They come home, a little bit of restraint collapse. They want the marble because that marble's sick. So then they kind of duke it out a little bit. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. But here's the thing I wanted to say is like, I think that it always comes back to this, that you can hold two things at once.
You're right. It is, both things are true, because humans want the things they want and are possessive, and kids in particular. And so there's a piece of it that's not so deep. But there's...
And I also mean the good offense being just like hugging your kid in the morning.
Right.
Can make them not... But it
Yes.
doesn't mean the converse doesn't necessarily mean the converse is true. That like...
No, right.
The
It doesn't
opposite,
mean the
that,
other
like,
thing's not true. Yeah.
the reason the kid wants the marble is because they're not loved. It could just be being defensive.
Right.
I-
Right. But I think here's okay. So maybe here's the like thing that makes all of this true. Cause I agree with you completely. And I'm glad you said it, cause it did make it sound a little bit, it was a little reductive. But my wife sent me this clip. This guy was talking to another guy about like attachment and like kids feeling securely attached to their parents. And the guy said, he boiled it down really simply. He's like, is it fair to say that a kid who is really securely attached to their parents thinks that life is about connection, and a kid who is really not securely attached thinks that life is about survival? And that's a binary. It's not like kids are one or the other. And you see kids move back and forth between the two. But when you are in survival mode, you are not in fucking sharing mode. You are not in we thinking mode. You are not in the mode of like, what's best for everybody that's going to make everybody get along and have a good time. You're like, I'm going to give mine and I'm going to fight for it.
Yeah.
And so I think like that's where I think there's a lot of truth to it, is like when your kid's being super possessive, you're going to have limited success being like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
You're going to have the most success by trying to help them stay in the part of their brain where they don't feel like they need to always be fighting for what's theirs.
Yeah.
They're still going to do it because kids are little shits sometimes. But like, it just goes back to that idea that like you taking your shirt off and screaming about how good your kids are is going to make them better at everything. Because they're going to be coming from a place where they are so filled with like, holy shit, dad loves me so much. Sometimes he acts like an insane person.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So I love it, man. I think that's so cool. That's great.
Yeah. Sweet. Love it.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Brought to you by Violet Archer. I like it because they're solving the case.